Good morning / afternoon class. Today we're going to work on reporting category number 1, which is called ordering real numbers. Okay, and this is going to be in our blue STAAR warm-up booklet. All right, and so when we're ordering real numbers, they've got a great strategy over here, and it's to use the calculator, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I think it's the best way. And so we're going to take a look at the numbers below here. So we've got 2, we've got the negative square root of 10, we've got 3/2, 3/5, negative 4/3, and the square root of 9. And it says, which of the following shows the numbers in order from least to greatest? So we want to go from the smallest to the largest. Now, immediately you should know that negative numbers are smaller than positive numbers. Okay, so immediately I can eliminate answer choices D and answer choices B because those both have positive numbers. And I know if I'm going from least to greatest that the negative numbers, okay, are going to be the least. And so now I really just have to figure out which one comes first, negative 4/3 or negative square roots of 10. So I'm going to type these both in my calculator. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. So I've got negative 4 divided by 3. That's how I would do negative 4/3. That gives me negative 1.3 repeating. And then I have negative second square root 10. And that gives me negative 3.16. Now, a lot of students get this confused. They would think that the smaller number would be here. Okay, but with negative numbers, it's backwards. The bigger the number for a negative number, the smaller it actually is. So actually negative 3 is going to be a smaller number. Negative 3.16227766 is going to be a smaller number than negative 1.3 repeating. Okay? Therefore, if we were doing from least to greatest, negative square root of 10 would come first, making our answer C. Okay? And if you wanted to, you could validate that all these numbers are going in order from least to greatest. Okay? And so, for example, if I did 3/5, 3 divided by 5 should be 0.6. Okay? Then 3/2 should be 1.5. Okay, so you can see that these are going in order, right? 0.6 is less than 1.5, which is less than 2, which is less than the square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, and so these numbers are in order from least to greatest. Okay, if you want to, you can draw a number line, right? You can simply just come over here. I like to draw a little arrow, a straight line. You can say 0. All right, and so when I draw my number line, okay, I could make some tick marks here, some lines. Right, I could say negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. I'm just going to mark every other one all the way to negative 10, right? And I could do the same way going positive. So we have 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and so as you can see, when you go left on the number line in your negative numbers, see how negative 5 is further to the left than negative 1? So therefore negative 1 would be greater than negative 5. Okay, and that's exactly what we were talking about right here in the calculator. If I go back up, see negative 3 is further away than negative 1 is. And so negative 3 would be smaller. Okay, and so that's how we would order these numbers from greatest to least. Make sure that you understand how to do the calculator for square root. For square root, okay, it's second and this x2 button, and that's how you get the square root. If you want to put a negative symbol in front of it, that's great. So for negative square root of 10, do it like that. Okay. Remember, the negative needs to be on the outside. If you do the negative on the inside, you will get that error because that is a non-real answer. See, non-real answer. Okay. All right, and then once again, fractions are just division. So negative 4/3, you could do it like that. You could do 3/4, 3 divided by 4. You could do 2/3, 2 divided by 3, so on and so forth. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to let you do 1A on your own. I think you should be able to figure that one out. Let's do one with that's greatest to least. Okay, so so we're going to do one here that is greatest to least. Okay, and I really like this one because it's got pi in it. Okay, and so you're going to be able to see how we do that. Alright, so from greatest to least, I need the largest number or the smaller number. I know my negatives are my smaller ones. Okay, so I know my positives are going to be the one I'm going to start with because it's from greatest to least. It's really, really important that you read the question carefully, okay, and you understand what it's asking you. Okay, because in this first one that we did, it was least to greatest. Now it is greatest to least, so it's ordered differently. So please underline and pay attention to that. So I've got positive pi, I've got positive 3, I've got 3.2, and I've got positive 10/3. Those are all my positive numbers. So I need to see which one is the greatest because that's the one I'm going to start with. Now, if I look here on my answer choices, I can immediately eliminate D because that has a negative number, and I know I want greatest to least, and so there's no way that that's possible. Okay? Now I need to determine, and if I look at my answer choices, it's really helpful because I can see, all right, well, which one's bigger, pi or 10/3? Because both of these have pi, and this is 10/3. So let's just see what happens. So 10 divided by 3 gives me 3.3 repeating. I know if I do second and then I do this arrow here, that gives me pi, and that's 3.14. So clearly I can see that 10/3, 3.3 repeating, is a larger number than pi. So my answer is obviously A because 10/3 has to come first. Okay, because I'm going from greatest to least. And if you look, after 10/3 would come 3.2. 3.2 is greater than 3.14. Then would come pi, because that's 3.14. Then would come 3, because that comes after 3.14. Okay, and then we would go into our negative numbers. Okay, and remember, the smaller the negative number, the greater it is. Okay, and so negative 1/3 is negative 0.3 repeating. Then we have this, which is greater than negative 3.14. And then finally we have negative 4. Alright, now we're going to go to problem 1C, ordering real numbers. Okay, so it said the areas of 3 circles are shown below. Okay, and here it says not drawn to scale. What that means is that these areas, this circle is not actually the size that this area is saying it is. Okay, that's why it says not drawn to scale. It's just giving you 3 circles and 3 different areas so you can do the problem. Okay, however, this circle does not actually have an area of 5.9 centimeters squared. This circle does not actually have an area of 2 pi or square root of 35 divided by 2. Okay, they're just doing this so you can put them in order, and we want to do from least to greatest. Least to greatest. Alright, so I'm going to come on my calculator. I have 5.9, so I already have that as a decimal. That's great. Now I'm going to do 2 pi. So 2 pi. That gives me 6.28, so I'm going to write that down. 6.28. And then I have second square root of 35. Okay. And what I would do is I would do this first, and then I would divide it by 2. Okay, and that gives me 2.96 if I round it. Okay? Because here's the deal. If you do this, second square root 35 divided by 2, well, it's going to think that this is the square root of 17.5 because that is half of 35. So you get a different answer. Okay? You need to do it square root of 35, right? So if you wanted to type it all in at once, you could do parenthesis square root of 35, close parenthesis. But you have to be careful there because it might do it on the inside, so you have to scroll out of it, right, and then do the parenthesis. So now you've closed that and then divide it by 2, and that'll give you the 2.96. Okay, or you can do it like I originally did it, square root of 35, hit enter, then hit divided, so it's going to take the answer, which is here, and divide it by 2. And that is the 2.96. Okay? And so now I can see that circle H is the least. Okay? And so I can cross out A and B. I know circle F comes next, and circle G. So H, F, G. My answer is C. Circle H, then circle F, and circle G. Alright? So number 1D you can do because these is pretty much the same kind of problem. It is from greatest length to least length. Okay, so it gives you these hypotenuses. Remember, a hypotenuse is always across from the right angle, so it doesn't matter which way the triangle is facing. It is the longest side and the side that is across from the right angle. Okay, so it gives you these three hypotenuses. It wants it in order from greatest to least. Okay, and so you should be able to type these in and do that. All right, I want to do 1E because it works with percents. 5 teachers are trying to raise the same amount of money for their classrooms. The table below shows how much each teacher's goal has been met. Okay, so Ms. Johnson, part of goal met, she's completed 1/5. That's also 20%, or 0.2. Okay, and how I would do that in my calculator is I would say 1 divided by 5 gives me 0.2. Okay, and I could do math, and if I wanted a fraction, that would take me back to 1/5. If I wanted a decimal, it takes me to 0.2. If I wanted, I'm pretty sure you can do percent in here. Maybe not. Oh, I think there's some way you can do percent. Let's see, number, is it in here? Remainder. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Anyway, you don't need to do it as percent. You just know that 0.2 is 20%. Okay, and we got 0.21. That's already as a decimal. And mainly, you just want to get these as a decimal. Okay, so 1 divided by 3, 0.3 repeating. So 3 repeating. Okay, this little line up here means it's repeating. Okay, that way you don't have to write a bunch of 3's. This is already a decimal, so that's great. 32%. You can take that and divide it by 100, just like we do for the interest rate in simple and compound interest. So it gives you 0.32. And now I can order these from least to greatest. So I'm going to take my smallest number. So it looks like 0.075 is going to be my smallest number. So I can cross out answer choices A and B. Okay, and then after that, it looks like I'm going to have 0.2 as my next smallest one. Okay, so that's 1/5. Okay, then 0.21, then 0.32, then 0.3 repeating. Okay, all of these ordering real numbers are easy give-me questions. You just have to make sure you type them correctly into the calculator. Okay, and turn them into decimals, and then see which ones go from least to greatest or greatest to least, whatever it's asking. Okay. All right, and so we've done ordering real numbers. Now we're going to skip over to number 4, and we're going to do identifying functions, okay? And these questions are really, really, really easy. No reason you should get them wrong on your STAAR test. They're literally like, here's your ticket to 9th grade, okay? And it says, which of the following set of ordered pairs represents a function? First thing I like to do is I like to label all my x coordinates and all my y coordinates. So these are all x and these are all y. Okay, and that way you can see which ones are x and which ones are y, okay? And basically all you're doing is you're seeing, does x repeat itself? So for example here, this x value, I'm going to circle all my x values. Well, x repeats itself every time, so this is not a function. Okay? Here's my x value, -2, -2, and 0. X repeated itself, so this is not a function. Here we have 0, 2, and 2. So 2 repeated itself, so this is not a function. And here we have -2, 0, and 2. They are all different, so this is a function. Okay? And so when we identify which ordered pair represents a function, all it's asking you is, does x repeat itself? Whichever one x doesn't repeat itself on, that is the function. Okay? They might ask you the opposite question, which one does not represent a function. So they would give you 3 answer choices that all had x's that didn't repeat, and then give you one that does. Okay, so they might flip-flop it on you like that. But this is a really, really easy question. All you got to do is circle your x values. Okay? Your y values don't matter when we're talking about whether it's a function or not. Okay, and you're just seeing if x repeats itself. Okay, very easy question. All right, now we have it on a graph. Okay, and it says which of the following graphs represents a function. Okay, well for the graph we do what's called the vertical line test. So if I do letter A, if I draw a vertical line, notice how when I draw that vertical line it hits this parabola in 2 spots. If your vertical line hits in more than 1 spot, then this is not a function. Here this is a vertical line, so that epically fails the vertical line test because it is a vertical line. Here if I do the vertical line test, notice how every time I draw a vertical line, I only hit the parabola once. This is what we're looking for. Okay? Because here, if I go to letter D on the circle, notice how I hit it twice. Do it again, I hit it twice. Okay, so when we're doing the vertical line test, okay, anytime we hit that parabola or that shape, whatever's on the graph, anytime we hit the line twice, like see 1, 2, 1, 2, this hits it every single time, okay, then that is not a function. Notice how here we only hit once every single time we draw a line. Okay, and so this is how you do the vertical line test. Once again, another easy question. Okay, that should be easy for you on your STAAR that you will see. 4B, you can do on your own. It's just ordered pairs. See where X repeats itself and where it doesn't. Here it's the same idea. It's just a mapping. Okay, problem 4C. All right, so which mapping shown below does not represent a function? Okay, so remember a function is where X repeats itself. So we're looking for where X repeats itself. Okay, and basically where this happens here is on letter C, because if you notice, -1 happens twice. It happens here and it happens here. Same thing with 1, it happens twice. It happens here and it happens here. Okay, so C is not a function. Notice how they've changed it around on you. If you look at the rest of them, see how each of these X values only happen 1 time. All here, these X values only happen 1 time. Okay, these X values only happen 1 time. This Y value happens twice. See, -2, 4 and 2, 4. Okay, and if you want to, you can do that strategy where you write out the ordered pairs. So like I can do, this is the way I like to do it, X and Y, right? So I have -2, 4, right here, -2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 16, 5, 25, 6, 36. I look at all my X values. Did X repeat itself? It did not, so it is a function. See up here on your answer, if you did that, it would be -1, 3. Then we would have -1, 4. We'd have 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and 4, 3. And so you can see, if I look at all my X values, X repeats itself here and here. Okay, and so we know this is not a function because X repeats itself. Okay, and so C is my answer because I want the one that is not a function. 4D is a really good one here. It says which one does not show Y as a function of X. Remember I told you when you see this, cross out as a, I'm sorry, Y as, so keep A. Cross out Y as, and cross out of X. And reread the question, it's much easier. Which representation does not show a function? Okay, well here, if I look at my X's, that is a function because X doesn't repeat itself. Here, X does repeat itself. -8 happens twice. See here, X does not repeat itself. And see here, if I actually plotted some points, okay, this is a linear function. Okay, and that's exactly what this is asking, is which one does not show a linear function, okay, or a function. Okay, and so you can see that the X's don't repeat themselves if I do the vertical line test. See how I only hit in 1 spot every single time? Okay, and so right here, these 3 are functions. This one is not because X repeats itself twice. -8, -6, -8, 1. Okay, 4E, you can do that mapping on your own. All right, and now we're going to move on to Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to skip to number 10. Number 10, the diagram below represents the side view of a toy block. Okay, now remember, Pythagorean theorem is with right triangles, so you need to write that down. Right triangles only. Right triangles only. Okay, and so our hypotenuse is going to be across from our right angle. It is the longest side. Okay, so I can label this C, and then I could label this A and B, or I could label this one A and this one B. A and B don't matter, they're just legs. Okay, and I can write my formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, A is 6, B is 11. Okay, in my calculator I can type this in. Very, very simple. So I have 6, and then I can hit x2 for squared. So it gives me 36. And then I can hit 11 squared. That gives me 121. Now I can do 121 plus 36. So it gives me 157. Okay, and now I need what C is, or what X is. Okay, but right now I have what C squared is. I have to square root. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Square root of 157. The square and the square root cancel. I get 12.53 if I round that 9. So that 9 rounds that 2 to a 3. So 12.53. It says which of the following is closest. Which of the following is closest to the value of x? Well, it's going to be 13. 12.5 would round to 13. Pythagorean theorem is very simple. You just have to make sure you understand. The key is understand it's for right triangles only. Okay, and your hypotenuse is across from your right angle. I don't care if your triangle looks like this. Here's your hypotenuse. It's across. I don't care if your triangle looks like this. Your hypotenuse is across. Okay, it's always across from the right angle. Number 10A, a 12-foot ladder is leaning against the wall. The base of the ladder is 7 feet. Okay, so the base of the ladder is 7 feet from the wall. Okay, and the top of the ladder is 2 feet from the top of the wall. Okay, so you've got this ladder, and right here it's 2 feet from the top. Which of the following is closest height of the wall? Okay, so my right angle, here's my hypotenuse, so I know this is C, and I'm going to say this is B and this is A. So I'm going to go A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I don't know what A is, so I'm going to leave it like that. B is 7. C is 12. Okay. 7 squared is 49. 12 squared is 144. Now here's where a lot of students get tripped up. They're like, okay, I got this, but now I don't know what to do. Well, you got to create a zero pair. It's just like we did with equations. I'm going to subtract 49 from both sides. So that cancels. So A squared, 144 minus 49 is 95. So A squared is 95. Then I'm going to square root both of them. So right here I'm going to do second square root 95. And I get 9.75 roughly. Okay, so A equals 9.75. Okay, but remember that A, that 9.75 is this length up to here. We've got an extra 2 feet that we have to account for. Okay, and look here, 9.7, look what they're doing. They're trying to get you. This is one of those ones on STAAR. They're trying to get you. They want you to say, oh yeah, you got 9.7? Great. Not the answer. It's going to be A, 11.7, because it's this 9.7 plus the 2 feet, okay, that is not included. Okay? Really, really, really important that you take your time on these problems, okay, and you understand what is it asking you. Okay, the top of the ladder is 2 feet from the top of the wall. Okay, details, details, details. Really important that you read. Okay, and you understand, because one day, for example, in real life, if you're doing construction and you don't account for something like this, well, you're either going to build something and it's going to be wrong, so you're going to have to waste a lot of money and time knocking it back down and rebuilding it, or you're going to make something and it's not going to be safe, right? You're not going to realize maybe you didn't account for that, right? And then all of a sudden the building, the integrity of the structure is not safe, right? So many different examples of, you know, how this could come into play. Okay. 10B. Mike rides his bike from home due west for 17 miles. He turns and rides another 8 miles, as shown in the diagram below. What is the value of x, the distance Mike rides to return home? Here's the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. Okay, A is going to be 8. I don't know what B is. C is 17. Okay, so I know 8 squared is 64. Then I have 17 squared, 289. Okay, and so now I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides. 289 minus 64, 225. Okay, I'm just going to write up here so I have more room. I'm going to square root both of them. Square gets rid of the square root. And the square root of 225 should be 15, which it is. So he walked 15 miles home. I'm going to let you do 10C and 10D on your own. Actually, I'm just kidding. I take that back. I actually want to do 10C and 10D with you because some of the students don't understand. They understand how to do the other problems we just did, but this one's confusing to them. So this one says, which measurement could not represent the side lengths of a right triangle? So basically what it's doing is, it's giving you the lengths, A, B, and C. You have to see if they work. So right here, I would label A, B, and C because the biggest number is going to be the longest side, okay, which is the hypotenuse. Okay, so here, right, this would be A. So right now, in this example, they're all A, B, and C like this because the biggest numbers are on the end. Sometimes they may not be like that, okay, but it looks like for this one and for 10D they are. Okay, but for example, they could have it like this, right? If they had letter A as 30 meters, 16 meters, and 34 meters, right? Technically that would be A, B, and C. Right, but you could have it, let's say they had it, 34 meters, 16 meters, and 30 meters. Well, then it would be C, B, and A, or C, A, and B. Either one for these two. Legs don't matter, but C does matter. So make sure when you're looking at a problem like this, you label C as the longest side or the biggest number out of the 3 in your answer choice. All right, so let's check out letter A. So this one you have to work them all. So I would have 16 squared plus 30 squared equals 34 squared. Well, let's find out. 16 squared plus 30 squared gives me 1156. Let's see what 34 squared is. It is 1156. So those equal each other. So A is a right triangle. I want the one that is not a right triangle. Let's check out letter B. 15 squared plus 36 squared is, so 15 squared plus 36 squared equals 39 squared. That's 1521. Let's see what 39 squared is. 1521. Okay, so those two equal each other, so that is a right triangle. Let's look at 14, 48, and 62. So 14 squared plus 48 squared equals 62 squared. So 14 squared plus 48 squared is 2500. Let's see what 62 squared is. 62 squared is 3844. These are not equal. Okay, so C would be your answer. Notice how they do it where they add, if you add 48 and 14 together, you get 62. They do that. They love doing that all the time just to try to trick you. They want to make you think that you can just add these and say la vie. Not how it works. You got to do it squared in the calculator, just like I showed you. Okay, and if you look at D, right, you had 9 squared plus 12 squared equals 15 squared. Well, 9 squared plus 12 squared is 225, and 15 squared is 225. Okay, so you can see that A, B, and D are all right triangles because Pythagorean works with all three of them. But C is not, okay, because it does not work, just like we proved it right here. Okay, so now I will let you do 10D on your own. Okay, I think you can do that. Just make sure you label A, B, and C and do the same steps that I did right here. Alright, so we're going to have our last problem here for Pythagorean theorem. The sailboat below has 2 sails, which are both right triangles. What is the approximate height of the taller sail if it is 2 feet taller than the shorter sail? So right here, this extra section we have here is 2 feet. Okay, it's kind of like the brick wall problem that we had, right? So we can find out this length and then this height, and then we can add 2 feet. Okay, so I've got across from my hypotenuse is C, and we can say this is A and this is B. Nothing new. Okay, it's literally the same type of thing every time. So I don't know what A is. B is 6.4 squared equals 10 squared. Okay, I don't know what 6.4 squared is, so we're going to find out. 40.96, so A squared plus 40.96 equals 100. Okay, because 10 squared is 100. I can subtract 40.96 from both sides. So 100 minus 40.96. So I get A squared equals 59.04. Now I'm going to take the square root. Okay, and so the square gets rid of the square roots. And second square root, 59.04. And I get 7.68 if I round. Okay? And if I look here at my answer choices, I have 7.7, which is really close to 7.68. And it says, what is the approximate height? Oh, but look, they're trying to trick you again because that 7.7 is the height. Almost got me. 7.7, that's this height right here. So this is not my answer. It's 7.7 plus 2. See how easy it is? See how they're trying to get you? Okay, you've got to take your time. Look at that. I rushed through it. I got my answer. I was so happy and excited. Would have gotten it wrong. Okay? It is B, right? Because you've got to add that extra 2 feet because they want the height of the taller sail. The height of the taller sail. You're just using the height of the shorter sail to help you find that out. Okay? Please do the rest of these problems on your own as it pertains to Pythagorean theorem and as it pertains to functions. Okay, so today your objective is to complete all of number 1, all of number 4, and all of number 10. Okay, you have the rest of the class period to finish anything you didn't finish or have me come and help you and answer any questions that you have. Have a wonderful day, and tomorrow we will do equations and inequalities. This is Mr. E, signing off.